A very warm welcome to IDFC First Bank Presents Leaders of Tomorrow Season 12. I'm Ritwika Gupta. Tonight on the show, we are speaking to Akshay Shekhar, co-founder and CEO Kazam. And in the second segment, a conversation lined up with Aparna Thyagarajan, co-founder and chief product officer, Shobitam. Now, the EV segment in India has come a long way. But what are the strategic moves required to capitalize on this growth? In this segment, we are putting a spotlight on Kazam, an Indian EV charging solution provider. Its co-founder Akshay Shekhar delves into the rapid scaling of Kazam's EV charging network and discusses the impact of government initiatives, collaboration with major companies, and opportunities for businesses in India's EV sector. Listen in. Thank you so much, Akshay, for joining us today.
Thank you, Ritwika, for inviting me to this program.
So to begin with, give us an overview of India's EV segment. Where do you think we stand? What are the opportunities today?
A couple of years ago, people used to ask me whether electric vehicles are really going to be in India. And I think we have surpassed that phase. Now people don't ask me whether EVs are going to be in the market, whereas they ask me what are the opportunities that are available in this market.
Okay.
To give you a very brief idea, I think we're still 3 or 4 years behind developed markets in the EV space like China or even the US markets. But I think we're catching up very, very fast. I think when we started Kazam, we were almost 10 years back. And right now we've already surpassed and skipped a lot of stones in between to reach this level.
And Akshay, if I may say, you're in a very niche, interesting space, EV charging. Can you share how your journey in the EV charging sector began?
Actually, Kazam started as a YouTube channel. We were two young guys trying to figure out whether EVs are going to be in the market. This is in 2020. The EV channel in itself became very, very viral in like 15 odd days. And then we quickly realized that India is poised for an EV growth. And we realized that around 70-80% of our market is 2 and 3 wheelers.
Sure.
They are sold maximum in India. To give you an idea, almost 270 million vehicles out of the 300 odd million vehicles that are there in the market are 2 and 3 wheelers. So we realized that we have to solve this problem. So Kazam actually started focusing on solving infrastructure for 2 and 3 wheelers because we realized that you can't really adopt technology from US or Europe to solve for this market, especially when it is value driven and consumers want a right price point for the vehicles that they're buying. So that's how Kazam essentially started. We also realized that people want to charge at common areas, especially in your housing societies or in the warehouses of your parking spots for your fleets, etc., where authentication and identifying the driver becomes very, very important and collecting money or payments for that. So that's how Kazam essentially started.
So I understand Kazam is managing over 25,000 charging points. What were the key challenges in scaling up your operations so rapidly?
I think there were a lot of challenges in the Indian market. I think in the first place, there was no standard when we started building it. So we were building it just to ensure that reliability and the vehicles get charged. That was the sole motto of building a very world-class product here out of India. But that soon became a reality when we started being approached by a lot of policymakers to ensure that this becomes a standard within the country. So standard was one of the biggest problems when we were creating such a sunrise industry in itself within the country. The second thing that happened was a lot of cheap products actually entered the market, where either they were at low quality, low price point, or sometimes even given free of cost. So we really had that struggle. We put our heads down and we ensured that we kept delivering better and better products in the market, which really stood the time of reliability in this space.
So the Indian EV market is projected to reach over $113 billion by 2029. Tell us, Akshay, how can Indian companies and businesses in this sector capitalize on this growth?
See, I think first the government has already created a lot of links for PLI, which is, incentive for making products out of India, especially in the EV sector. There's a policy called as FAME. And a lot of the FAME incentive comes if you manufactured certain percentage of your vehicle or the components in India. And I think that's one of the biggest boosts that an Indian entrepreneur can get in this segment, where you can actually start building technology right from scratch. The second thing that I also want to tell you is, especially in the two, three-wheeler space, if you name the top five brands globally, right, which sell in terms of volumes, they're all Indian names. Okay, and that is the opportunity that we have, that our technology is really going to be shipped elsewhere, especially in the two, three-wheeler economy. So that is something that we can really build.
Sure.
Third, I think what we can also build on is the overall, the digital infrastructure that India has already created and proved itself as a market leader in, whether it was UPI and payments that we could solve and digitize and disrupt across the country and now going global. That's a similar model that is possible in the EV space itself, where you can create digital twins in terms of the vehicle performance, charging infrastructure, payments. And I think all of this is something that can be grown in-house and can be scaled very well.
Sure.
And also a last bit I would say is the push towards the semiconductor industry. And I think there is a lot of need for a lot of chipsets that go along with vehicle building, charge points, etc., that can be built here in India and can really scale very, very fast in this market.
Akshay, how do you think government initiatives like FAME India have impacted the overall adoption of EV infrastructure in the country?
I think FAME itself, when you elaborate it, right, when you take the full form out of it, it was for faster adoption, right? And I think it has really done that in the market. To give you an idea, at least in the three-wheeler space, upwards of 20-25% of all new vehicles that are being sold in the market are electric vehicles today. And that's all because of the incentives that were given in the market, so that you don't have to spend additional on the capex to own these vehicles. And I think the similar story we've already started seeing in the two-wheeler segments, where it has pushed even the incumbents in the market to start launching two-wheelers which are electric in nature.
And what role do you think small businesses, MSMEs, play in the EV ecosystem? Like you spoke about semiconductors. So especially in the EV supply chain, what can you tell us?
Just coming back to the previous thing, as I said, semiconductor is something that is going to be built here, is needed a lot in the automobile sector. And if you can somehow create these technologies here in India, I think there's going to be a lot of boost for it. The second segment that I see is, a lot of EMS houses being built around it. Think of, how Foxconn was for Apple. There are going to be a lot more Foxcons being built here in India, which can really cater to ensure that these products are being indigenously built here in India and scaled very fast. So that manufacturing bit play is something that's available. And I think finally, I have to add that, payments ecosystem that can be built here in India, or digital ecosystems where you kind of understand the performance of these vehicles can be built here in India and exported as well outside of India.
Akshay, I understand you are also a member of the Unified Energy Interface movement. Can you briefly tell us what is the movement all about, and how do you think UEI can transform energy management and EV charging landscape in India?
So UEI wants to do exactly what UPI did in the payments ecosystem. It says that we want to now tackle it from an energy perspective. Charging becomes one of the easiest and the low-hanging fruits in this market, where it needs to be accessible, interoperable for every consumer to come and start charging their vehicle, irrespective of whether they have brand A, brand B, or brand C, right? You want to have that accessibility of charge points. So UEI in the first use case kind of aggregates all of these charge points into one single platform that allows any brand or any consumer app to start providing EV charging as a service.
Right.
So it kind of unifies energy, and hence it is called Unified Energy Interface.
I also read that you've partnered with notable companies like Big Basket, Mahindra Logistics, Bajaj, TVS. Do you believe these collaborations have helped increase your market reach?
Absolutely. I think we work very closely with these top tier vehicle OEMs, as you mentioned, like Bajaj, TVS, Mahindra. In most cases, we are launching the same cities that they are launching. And we have a very clear visibility in terms of collaborating with these partners, the next cities that are going to be launched, the kind of vehicles that are going to be sold in the next couple of months or quarters. And we work very closely with them to ensure that the infrastructure for charging is built in that particular city alongside with us. So these collaborations have really helped us.
Right.
And these kind of collaborations is what makes the EV industry very unique in itself. It's not a one person's job to ensure that the whole country gets EV ready. It has to work right from top to the bottom to ensure that this industry works together. And such collaborations really help startups like us to get to the place that we are today.
Fantastic. And finally, I've been reading that you have already raised around $8 million in a Series A3 funding. How are you planning to leverage this, and what can we expect from Kazam in the near future?
I think good startups in the market tend to raise capital, especially when you're doing great work. I know it's tough time in the market to raise capital, but I think we have shown the kind of resilience that is needed, both in terms of revenue growth, partnerships, etc. The next phase of Kazam is to get to more pin codes. We're already around 5,000 pin codes in the country, and I think by the next couple of years we would reach around 10, 12,000. And we have a very clear foray to expand with the set of customers that we already have. Most of our customers are taking us to markets outside of India, whether it's the SAARC region of Sri Lanka, Nepal, etc., or in the Southeast Asia markets, where a lot of two-wheelers and three-wheelers are imported in those markets from the large brands that we have already here in India. So those are some few key areas that we would be really focusing on expanding. The second phase for us is also to expand our product offerings. So we would be getting into the bus segment. We would be ensuring that you have software to understand the overall energy profile in a particular hub, that we bring in a lot of energy efficiency so that the market in itself, the country in itself is more resilient for the change of electric vehicles that are coming in the market.
Thank you, Akshay. It was great chatting with you.
Thank you, Ritwika. Really enjoyed talking to you. Hope to see you maybe in the next time.
It's time for a quick break here. We'll be back shortly. Stay tuned. Welcome back to IDFC First Bank Presents Leaders of Tomorrow Season 12. In this segment, I caught up with Aparna Thyagarajan, co-founder and chief product officer of Shobitam, who shared her journey of promoting Indian heritage globally, overcoming market challenges, and some advice for today's entrepreneurs. Listen in. Aparna, pleasure to be chatting with you today.
Likewise, Ritwika, absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for having me here.
So Aparna, I think your entrepreneurial journey with Shobitam is really fascinating, especially because you're promoting something so uniquely Indian on a global stage. And this also aligns with our theme this season, Powering Entrepreneurs for the Global Stage, which encourages ambitious, globally minded entrepreneurs. So could you share what inspired you to start Shobitam?
Sure. So I'm basically a proud Indian who grew up in Delhi and Chennai and got married, moved to the United States. And like everyone else, as they say, you can take an Indian out of India, but you cannot take Indianness out of an Indian, right? So that's exactly what happened in my case too. And after moving abroad, I felt the need to be connected to my homeland even more. And a big part of doing it is through our culture, right? Whether it is our food, whether it is cricket, movies. And for me, decor and clothing became a big part of it.
Okay.
I found a lot of pride in, our Indian clothes. And there was always this passion for fashion from a very young age. So I would love to design clothes from a very young age. I did my sister's second birthday dress to my wedding lehenga. So after I went there, I found that it was very hard to get authentic products and also end-to-end offerings. And I think on the supply chain side, there were weavers out there, but it was the middle people who are making all the money. And I really felt that the weavers needed a global stage. And, with my tech background, I saw that there was a huge potential to disrupt this space. And I think the passion just fueled that big leap of faith. So that's how Shobitam started.
Aparna, when dealing with the Indian market, what would you say are some of the biggest challenges here?
So one thing with the Indian market is it's highly fragmented, right? So highly fragmented. And the other major problem, that I came across was a lot of the market is just flooded with replica products. So something that's actually called Kanjivarams and Banarsis, pure silks, when they're not really so. So when you order something online, it is sold as something, but when you receive it, it is something else, right? And we started off Shobitam with the vision to democratize ethnic fashion. So that was our big mission. And the way we actually did this, overcame these was basically being totally vertically integrated. So completely eliminating middle people and working directly with weavers to, get most unique designs at the best value pricing.
So earlier you spoke about the weaving community. Can you talk to us about collaborating with artisans and smaller businesses? And I ask this especially because you're based outside of India. How did you create and maintain these synergies?
So the interesting thing is, my sister and I, we are Tamilians. We grew up in Delhi, and between us, we speak 7 languages, right? So we could cover most of India, connect with them. We are also very culturally diverse. So I think that really helped form those connections with our weavers. And another thing is, the designs that we brought in. So it was not just buying and selling, just taking off designs that our weavers and artisans had. We would co-create a lot of our designs, which, both of us enjoyed. The weavers also enjoyed, we also enjoyed. So I think that really made a difference working at the grassroots level. And one particular thing that I want to mention is, we started off Shobitam, and soon after COVID hit us. And I think for us, we had just started off, and it was hard because for weavers, it was not just the looms being shut off, it was also their stoves that were being shut off. And, we said we have to do something for them. So very early on, we launched programs like Shobitam Give and Shobitam Care, where we provided dry rations for more than 600 weaver families. And I think that really strengthened our bond, where they became really loyal to us. And it really helped us build a rich supplier mode. And I think that's been a key differentiator apart from, just strengthening our relationship with them.
Great. So, Aparna, you also spoke about coming from a tech background. Tell us, how did your background and experience at Microsoft, contribute to building Shobitam, especially in the areas of, e-commerce and branding?
So, I had a very different background from what, I'm doing now. So I worked for Microsoft in Seattle and Silicon Valley for over a decade. And yes, what I brought with me was the tech experience. So at the core of Shobitam is a very rich technology stack, which is the backbone of all things Shobitam. I think that is the one that really helps us scale and helps us being vertically integrated, helps us being connected with our weavers. So we built a lot of our own proprietary solutions, like Right Track app, for example, which gives us completely inventory visibility and so on. Apart from just the technology aspect, I feel it has also helped bring in good corporate culture. The culture here is very different from what it is outside of India. So I think that people like it. And I think it's also helped them identify leaders.
Sure.
And, have good representation, not just in our leadership team, but also our advisory board. So we have leaders from Amazon, Microsoft, HubSpot, etc. So that's been a key differentiator as well.
So how do you foresee the intersection of fashion and technology evolving in the coming years, Aparna?
In the coming years, I think it's going to be more and more of personalization and customization, right? So rather than, people are really looking for things that connect with them. And yes, everybody does personalization and customization in a small scale, but what is the true differentiator is doing it at scale, right? For us, one of the things is we've launched our own blouse stitching solution,
sure,
which is patent pending, very different. So it's a very sticky solution where, we think, if you think women are complex, getting a perfect blouse for women is even more complex, right? So we have a proprietary solution, which I think has been possible through the use of technology, AI, and ML. So the real intersection is personalization and customization using AI and ML.
Aparna, could you also share your funding journey with us? I understand you raised $1.5 million in a seed round in 2022 from Hearth Ventures. How did this funding impact Shobitam's growth?
So funding is an integral part of any startup, right? So initially we were completely bootstrapped. And in 2022, we went ahead with Hearth Ventures. And the reason we went with them over another consumer tech fund was because Hearth Ventures is sector focused. So they are in the handloom arts and crafts space. So we really saw them as the perfect strategic partner to open doors for us and bring a lot of strategic value. And over the years, yes, it has made a lot of difference because we are able to take big, bold bets, right? So for example, getting in a brand ambassador as Vidya Balan, which has been a game changer for us and pave our way, in the India market. That's one. Second is, acquiring other complementary companies. So we acquired House of Blouse, a company that specializes in custom blouses last year. And just today, we actually acquired this company called Isadora Life, which is a Raipur-based company, and they are into 1-minute saris. So it really has helped us. The funding has helped us do things more confidently. And another thing is we're going to be launching our first omni-channel experience store in Bangalore. And all this has been made possible through funding.
Fantastic. So what advice would you give to entrepreneurs who aspire to build a world-class brand from India for the global market?
Yeah, I would just say dream big, follow your passion, and the rest will just follow along.
And finally, what's the road ahead for Shobitam? What can we expect from the brand in the near future?
One thing is, like I said, our vision is to democratize ethnic fashion. And how do we make it relevant to future generations, and how do we make it relevant to the global community? Because what we are really trying to do is build a brand that is made in India for the world. So examples of things that we are doing in that direction is how do you make like fabrics, rich Banarsi fabrics, rich Kanjivaram fabrics, relatable to a global community? And what we did, is design trench coats, do skirts. So innovation has been the key. Innovation and operation excellence has been the key in making sure that we are not just preserving our rich textile heritage, but also making sure that they thrive in the future years.
Well, all the very best to you. Thank you so much, Aparna. It was great chatting with you.
Thank you so much, Ritwika. It was lovely to be with you.
On that note, it's a wrap on this episode of IDFC First Bank Presents Leaders of Tomorrow Season 12. We hope you enjoyed watching today's episode. Thank you so much. Goodbye.